Hi everyone, today we are going to be talking about formative assessment. So let's get started. Okay. Alright, so formative assessment from this CCSSO. Formative assessment is a planned ongoing process used by all students and teachers during learning and teaching to elicit and use evidence of student learning to improve student understanding of intended disciplinary learning outcomes and support students to become self-directed learners. So what that means that it is a continuous responsive process comprised of different practices, methods, and tools, all of which are used to help support students in reaching their learning goals. Teachers and students collaborate to use this kind of assessment in responsive ways that positively impact learners and learning. They partner to know and respond to strengths, interests, and needs. And this type of assessment includes students as active agents in the learning journey, which fuels learning and agency in learning environments and beyond. Engaging students in goal setting is a great way to do this. All right, let's dive deeper into formative assessment. Okay, so what are examples of formative assessment? One popular one is a think, pair, share, and it is also listed on this image down here. So a think, pair, share asks students to write down their answers to a question posed by the teacher. When they're done, they break off into pairs and share their answers and discuss. You can then move around the room, dropping in on discussions and getting an idea of how well students are understanding. Another example of a formative assessment is a 3-2-1 countdown. This assessment tool can be written or oral and asks students to respond to 3 very simple prompts. Name 3 things you didn't know before, name 2 things that surprised you about this topic, and name 1 you want to start doing with what you've learned. The questions are flexible, can be tailored to whatever unit or lesson you are teaching. This is also a good exit slip. You give this to students about 10 minutes before class ends, and they give it to you on their way out the door. Another example are quiz-like games and polls. Kahoot is a very popular one. So a majority of students enjoy games of some kind. Incorporating games that test a student's recall and subject aptitude are a great way to make formative assessment more fun. It can be Jeopardy-like games or, like I mentioned, a Kahoot. But these are always a big hit with the students. They don't realize that they're actually learning and being assessed. They are just worried about having the fun with the game. And then the self-assessment allows students to take the rubric you use to perform a self-assessment of their knowledge or understanding of a topic. This is very dependent on the age range that you are assessing. A lot of students will just say that they know all of it, they learned it all very well, and they won't be honest with the self-assessment. So with this, you would just have to reiterate the importance of really putting how they feel that they are understanding the topic so the teacher can help them learn better. Okay. Some more examples. Assess students' understanding of a text-based resource through a small group exercise. So a student should read the same written passage or resource, highlighting sentences that stick out as important. Once everyone is done, divide the class into groups of 3 or 4, and within the group, each student must share the sentences he or she highlighted. That way they all can see what each student thought was important, and each group should be able to pinpoint the text's main idea or theme in doing so. Compare and contrast. This is also a very popular formative assessment. So have students compare 2 components of what is being learned to help them demonstrate their current knowledge. For example, in a biology class, you would have students compare reptiles to mammals based on several key criteria. Fingers up, have students show their level of knowledge by showing a certain number of fingers. 1 finger means uncertainty and discomfort, while 5 fingers means strong confidence with the content. A better way to manage the fingers up method is to have students close their eyes or put their head down. That way they don't look around and see their peers feeling more confident, and they won't be as honest as if they had their eyes closed and didn't know what other responses were. Participation cards are a great tool you can use on the fly in the middle of a lesson to get a quick read on the entire class's level of understanding. Give each student 3 participation cards, I agree, I disagree, and I don't know how to respond, and pose questions that they can then respond to with those cards. That's just a quick way of gauging what concepts need more coverage. All right, so some tips on giving quality feedback for formative assessment. Keep clear criteria for what defines good performance. Instructors can explain criteria for A through F graded papers and encourage student discussion and reflection about these criteria. Give students detailed, actionable feedback. Instructors can consistently provide specific feedback tied to predefined criteria with opportunities to revise or apply feedback before final submission. Feedback may be corrective and forward-looking rather than just evaluative. Examples include comments on multiple paper drafts, criterion discussions during one-on-one conferences, and regular online quizzes. Promote positive motivational beliefs and self-esteem. Students will be more motivated and engaged when they are assured that an instructor cares for their development. Instructors can allow for rewrites or resubmissions to signal that an assignment is designed to promote development of learning. Those rewrites might utilize low-stakes assessments or even automated online testing that is anonymous and allows for unlimited resubmissions. In situations where students have relevant expertise or experience, formative feedback from student peers can be valuable. Consider how you can provide an easy way for students to provide each other with feedback. Okay, let's move on. So technology to help with formative assessment. So technology enhanced formative assessment. Blog about it. Have students write weekly 200-word blog posts about what they learned and comment on each student's blog comment, assessing what they did well and what they need to focus on in the next week. Of course, this is age dependent. You wouldn't expect a second grader to know how to blog about it. This would be recommended for middle school and high school age kids. Padlet, which is listed in the picture here, an example of kind of an interactive board. Have students use the Padlet app to contribute their ideas to a virtual notice board to show their thoughts and knowledge to the group. Also, introduce screencasts to students, which is what I am doing to you right now. Screencasts are recordings of what is happening on the screen of a device. They can also capture audio. When students make a movie of their thinking, they give you a window into their thought process. Think about the show your work section of a quiz. So instead of just reading and following along with a slideshow, you are getting the actual narration to what is going on in their head. So it just provides for a better experience overall. Embed questions into your instruction. One of my favorite classroom tools is Nearpod, an interactive presentation builder that lets you embed questions into your lesson. I loved using it in the classroom, and now I use it to facilitate professional development sessions. With Nearpod, you can place a poll at the beginning of a lesson or put a short response question in the middle of your presentation. Embedding questions in this way can help you check for understanding over the course of a lesson. Kahoot, as I mentioned earlier, is a gamified student response tool that can make assessment fun and competitive. When planning a Kahoot for assessment, start by identifying what type of knowledge you'd like to assess. Depending on the objective, you can either create a new Kahoot or repurpose Kahoots you've previously used in your lessons. Here are a few tips. Use various question types depending on the objective of your assessment. If you'd like to provide more context or explanation, you can add a slide to support the following question. And then use media to support different learning styles. Try images as answers if you'd like to focus on visual learning. Okay, and overall, here are my references for this presentation.